There are things that are happening around us every day. The things that are happening to us right now happens for a reason. What you are going through right now, someone else is going through it in a different manner. But we always ask the question, why me? Why is this happening to me?
You're not understanding that the adversity, the struggle, the hard times, the difficult things, the frustration, those are the things that create our skill sets. Those are the lessons that we learn that give us the skills to then put the skills into play and produce a better life.
Almost any accomplishment in the history of the world has come at the hands of people who've taken risks. People who are willing to push the envelope. People who are willing to explore the unknown.
You will never win the battle if you don't get up.
Getting knocked down does not mean that you stay down. Getting knocked down doesn't mean that you're not breathing. Getting knocked down doesn't mean that it's over. Getting knocked down doesn't mean that you just stay on your back because that ground is hard and it's cold. You better learn how to get up.
Many of you have been selling yourself short all of your life. You have the opportunity to experience more environmental, physical, and mental abundance. Someone who is in a constant state of elevation. Their self-talk is, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I know where I came from.
How will you use yourself? How will you use everything that you have been given to serve that which is greater than yourself? How will you use that to become truly, authentically empowered?
Become what it is you want to be. So write that plan and move. In fact, I want you to run. Go ahead and run towards your goals. Run towards the dreams you want to see come true.
You've got to be willing to change your ways. Your life is working. If you don't like what you have produced, you are director, you are the star, you wrote this script. You produced this, whatever it is. If it's a hit, you produced it. If it's a flop, you produced it. Take ownership of it and decide to go back to the drawing board and rewrite the script that you are the star of.
The only voice that matters is your voice. What you choose is what you will become. Who do you say you are?
Start making habits. Have an addiction of constantly improving. Have an addiction that analyzes what's good and seeing the things that you got to change to get ahead in the game. Start to take some action and make these changes. In fact, become these changes.
Our mind wants to protect us. The mind, it has a tactical advantage over us. It knows our deepest, darkest fears or insecurities. It knows where we start to feel, we start getting that doubt creeping that says, hey man, you know what, man, maybe this isn't good. Let's go back home to the wife. Go back home to the kids. This is not comfortable. So in that moment, the mind directs us. It's a protective mechanism. It saves us from doing bodily harm or it really saves us from discovering that the mind's like, I want to be in charge of you. I don't want you to be in charge of me.
All the great things in my life, all the great things in other high achievers' lives, all the reasons that these successful people that you look up to, that you aspire to be like, are the way they are, have all come from a place of being uncomfortable.
All successful people, of my experience, are people who are living fully engaged. They are fully involved in their lives and in their goals. They don't do things by half measures. They may have no guarantees, but they're not afraid to put their whole hearts into their activities.
But you're trying to find energy and strength to stay in the fight, to continue on till you get that second wind. The second wind is coming, whenever the second wind may be for you. It's coming.
First and foremost, wake up on time. When that alarm goes off, get your butt out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Why is that important for persistence? The reason why is because the first decision that you're making of the day is to actually get up and get moving.
That hardship and that pain and that struggle and that frustration, they give you the skills that will forge you into a champion.
Develop yourself, weaponize yourself, teach yourself to be so good at something that is necessary to serve in the area of your dream that now you're never even thinking about your comfort zone.
Because there's something in you that tells you this is not it for you. And it's necessary for you to challenge yourself to go after it and get better and leverage relationships that can help you get to where you want to go. But it's you. The major key to your reaching your dream, your living up to your greatness, your making your contribution is you.
Life is short. I should enjoy it and not spend my precious time washing that dusty car. Car washes are something you pay for anyway. To clear up any unhelpful assumptions regarding self-discipline, consider something of a favorite concept of mine. The 40% rule. It says that when an individual's mind begins telling them that they are physically or emotionally maxed out, in reality, they have only pushed themselves to 40% of their full capacity. In other words, they could endure 60% more if only they believed that they were capable of it. When you think you have reached your limits, you're not even close, and whether you can keep going or not depends on if you believe it. It's quite a belief to feel that you've reached your limits and say to yourself that you're only 40% done. It's an acceptance of pain, and that's a belief that is much more beneficial to your self-discipline. What if you were to replace your unhelpful, disempowering assumptions with this one of strength and agency? We are usually ready to give up around the time that we begin to feel pain or are barely pressing our boundaries. But that point is actually just the beginning of what we're all capable of. And the key to unlocking more potential is to push through the initial pain and the self-doubt that surfaces along with it. By maintaining a belief in yourself, you show yourself that you can do more, and that evidence builds your confidence and discipline. You might, for example, begin struggling after doing 10 push-ups. You start hearing the voice in your head that says you feel too tired, too sore, or too weak to go on. But if you take a pause and gather yourself to do one more, you find that you've already disproven the voice saying that you can't. Then you pause and do another, and then another, and then another. Suddenly, you're at 20. You can take it slowly, but you've just doubled what you thought was possible. Believing that you can do more will make it true. It enables you to go well beyond the limits that you've constructed for yourself in your own mind. And once you've felt the pain and the urge to give up at 10 push-ups only to push through it and do 20, you know that your mental strength helped you persevere. The next time you're challenged, you'll feel all the more capable and prepared to push past your supposed limits again. This embodies self-discipline in a nutshell. It's really a matter of how much pain you can stomach, and most of us will only bend and never break. Our minds can be our best friends when we have a strong belief in our capabilities, but they can also be a poisonous enemy if we allow negativity to seize control. It's up to you to empower yourself using the 40% rule rather than throwing in the towel mentally at the first sign of resistance. The reality is that most of us have no clue about our true physical and mental limitations. Quite often, the underlying causes of lapses in discipline are the beliefs we create in our minds that we can't do something. Expecting yourself to be capable, successful, and disciplined will make it all the more likely that you actually are. Increasing discomfort. I'd rather not wash the car. It's boring and uncomfortable. I know my spouse asked me to, but it can wait. Self-discipline is uncomfortable by nature. You would never willingly subject yourself to the struggle of being disciplined unless you had a strong purpose for doing so. The things we willingly do with enjoyment are called fun. We never hear about people needing discipline to eat ice cream or play video games. There's no amount of knowledge, habit formation, thinking, or visualization that will make self-discipline comfortable. It's simply a fact that being disciplined is going to feel like a chore. You're going to hate it at times even. The key quantity we need more of isn't necessarily always self-discipline itself. It's the amount of discomfort we can handle and tolerate. This process seeks to turn a stabbing pain into a dull annoyance you can barely feel, or a hunger pang that you actually crave because it means you are sticking to your diet. That's as good as it's going to get. Washing the dishes may not morph into something pleasurable, but at least it doesn't have to be an agonizing experience. Being disciplined comes down to choosing temporary discomfort that helps you in the long term. Discipline doesn't care if you are exhausted, irritated, or even dejected. That's when you need it the most. Making a regular habit of embracing uncomfortable situations can have a positive impact on all aspects of your life. Just as lifting weights causes temporary discomfort that allows muscles to grow back stronger, choosing disciplined actions and decision-making also makes your uncomfortable muscles stronger. You don't need to be uncomfortable in your daily life, but being familiar with the feeling sure helps you in the face of actual adversity. You can even create anxiety and uncertainty yourself so that they are controlled and manageable. To show yourself that you are capable of handling it. A speaker gave a popular TED Talk about his personal journey outside of his comfort zone, in which he confronted his fear of rejection and the social anxiety that came with it. Speaker wanted to become more confident, so he set out to desensitize himself to rejection by seeking rejection out in some small and controlled way 100 days in a row. Some speakers' rejections included borrowing $100 from a stranger, requesting a burger refill, and asking to play soccer in somebody's backyard. When the 100 days were up, Speaker was a new person with more confidence and a greater appreciation for how kind people are to one another. This is the story of overcoming a fear of rejection is applicable to everybody. Your personal fears and discomforts are also your opportunities to challenge yourself. If you'd like to be in control, spend a day deferring to other people. If you're more comfortable being passive, spend a day asserting yourself and making more decisions. Whatever you are comfortable doing, do the opposite. Injecting manageable discomfort and uncertainty into your life isn't difficult to do. You might order the dish on the restaurant menu that has ingredients you haven't heard of before. Or instead of taking a relaxing hot shower, you could turn the water to cold and force yourself to stand in it until you gain control of your breath and calm your mind. Ask people for discounts that you don't think you'll get. Sit down in a restaurant and then leave after receiving the menu. That walk to the door will feel incredibly long. Even just doing something spontaneous or out of character can get you out of your comfort zone enough to see that your uncomfortable zone isn't that bad. As this practice builds your willpower, you can begin to change some of your less beneficial habits. When you feel pulled into a battle with your urges, you'll have the mental strength to resist that temptation and to instead ride the urges out like a wave. And if fear motivates you to avoid your urges altogether by distracting yourself from them, fear is sometimes an opportunity for positive change. Discomfort and struggle are what make you who you are. So if you're going to follow through on that, then it's time for you to get comfortable with discomfort. Excuses for lack of self-discipline to decrease psychological discomfort. It's perfectly reasonable for me not to wash the car. It's going to rain tomorrow anyway. It would just be a waste of time and effort. The way you justify your actions to yourself can either lead you towards self-discipline or further away from it. When faced with a task that requires self-discipline, we often come up with excuses to avoid it. These excuses can be based on rationalizations that make sense to us at the moment, but ultimately keep us from reaching our goals. The key to overcoming these excuses is to challenge them directly. Ask yourself if your excuse is genuinely valid or if it's just a way to avoid discomfort. more often than not, you'll find that your excuse doesn't hold up under scrutiny. This realization can be the motivation you need to push through the discomfort and accomplish what you set out to do.
You can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. In order to work at solving these things called problems in your life, you have to change your mind. It is your mind where they live. It is your mind that created them. There is where you experience them. They're all illusions. You must change your mind. Literally rewrite your agreement with reality.
So if you think 60 to 70,000 thoughts in one day, and we do, and 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts as the day before, and you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny, your life's not going to change very much, because the same thought leads to the same choice leads to the same behavior creates the same experience, and the same experience produces the same emotion. And so then the act of becoming conscious of this process, to begin to become more aware of how you think, how you act, and how you feel, it's called metacognition. And so then why is that important? Because the more conscious you become of those unconscious states of mind and body, the less likely you're going to go unconscious during the day.
How do you alter your mindset? The only path is through new awareness. You can receive advice all day long. Many people do. They love being told what to do. They're hooked on new books, new ideas, new lists. They learn and learn and learn in all directions except the one that matters most. Learning about themselves. There is no getting around this. It's hard to sustain new happiness without new awareness.
What they say, according to cognitive neuroscientists, we are conscious of only about 5% of our cognitive activity. Most people, 1% of their day is in the conscious mind. So every day, you create only from your creation mind, your conscious mind, only about 1% of what is going on in your life. And therefore, 95 to 99% of your life comes from your programming in your subconscious mind.
Old ways won't open new doors. How do you think you can change by doing the same thing, continuing on the same path, taking no risks, no twists, no turns? Nothing's going to change if you're not willing to change. Get up and become something more than the familiar route you've been walking for years.
No more, I'll never get out of this problem. The obstacles are too big. I'll never get ahead, never break this addiction, never meet the right person. Don't let a limited mindset keep you from the abundant life that belongs to you.
Only man has the godlike power to make his surroundings change to fit him. Because his environment will change as he changes. A man's environment is a merciless mirror of him as a human being. And if he thinks his environment can stand a little improvement, all he has to do is improve, and his environment will improve to reflect the changing man.
There's this mysterious subconscious mind of yours, and it runs below the awareness of your conscious awareness. So you're not usually even aware of what's going on in there, like what it believes or how it limits your life. The reason it is so powerful is because it stores all of your memories, all of your feelings and emotions, and most importantly, all the limiting beliefs you've acquired since you were born.
You need to understand the subconscious mind of yours. Your subconscious mind rules your life. 96 to 97% of everything that you do is done as a result of your subconscious mind. And when your subconscious mind gets programmed, it goes ahead and responds to whatever it is your conscious mind has placed into it. This subconscious mind of yours is most impacted by your feelings. A change of feeling is a change of destiny.
I think that we define reality with our senses, and I think that is one of the biggest illusions. So the fundamental question is, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that your brain has literally changed to look like the event has already occurred. Now, the latest research in plasticity says that's absolutely possible. And can you select a new possibility in the quantum field and begin to emotionally embrace that future every single day to such a degree that your body, as the unconscious mind, the objective mind, does not know the difference between the experience in your life that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're fabricating by thought alone, to the degree that you begin to signal new genes in new ways to change your body to look like the experience has already happened.
Begin to act as would the person you most want to become. Now that is, if you were already in possession of the goal you're shooting for, how would you conduct yourself in all of your affairs? Well, do it now, and tomorrow, and the next day. Begin now to act the part of the person you most want to become, and you'll end by becoming that person. Subtly, in little ways, in the way you dress, in the way you talk, in the unfailing courtesy you show to every person with whom you come in contact. Begin to act the part of the person who has already achieved that which you're shooting for. The German philosopher Goethe gave us the secret when he said, before you can do something, you must first be something. When you behave like the person you most want to become, the things that person would have will tend to come to you. It's simply cause and effect. Don't be in too big a hurry. It takes longer to build a skyscraper than a chicken coop. Build slowly, steadily, and well. Then when you make it, you'll keep it. You'll stay on top.
Our beliefs aren't always as conscious as we think they are. We may very well accept an idea on the surface, but if deep down we don't really believe it's possible, then our acceptance is just an intellectual process. Because calling upon the placebo effect requires us to truly change our beliefs about ourselves and what's possible for our bodies and our health. We need to understand what beliefs are and where they come from. Let's suppose a person goes to the doctor with certain symptoms and is diagnosed with a condition based on the physician's objective findings. The doctor gives the patient a diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment options based on the average outcome. The moment the person hears the doctor say diabetes, cancer, hypothyroidism, or chronic fatigue syndrome, a series of thoughts, images, and emotions is conjured up based on his or her past experience. That experience could be that the patient's parents had the condition, that he or she saw a show on TV in which one of the characters died of that disease, or even that something the person read on the internet scared him or her about the diagnosis. Once the patient sees the doctor and hears a professional opinion, the patient automatically accepts the condition, then believes what the confident doctor has said, and finally surrenders to the treatment and possible outcomes. And this is done without any real analysis. The patient is suggestible and susceptible to what the doctor says. If the person then embraces the emotions of fear, worry, and anxiety, along with sadness, then the only possible thoughts or autosuggestions are those that are equal to how he or she feels. The patient can try to have positive thoughts about beating the disease, but his or her body still feels bad because the wrong placebo has been given, resulting in the wrong state of being, the signaling of the same genes, and the inability to see or perceive any new possibilities. The patient is pretty much at the mercy of his or her beliefs and the beliefs of the doctor about the diagnosis. So when healed themselves using the placebo effect, what did they do differently? First, they didn't accept the finality of their diagnosis, prognosis, or treatment. Nor did they believe in the most probable outcome or future destiny that their doctors had authoritatively outlined. Finally, they didn't surrender to the diagnosis, prognosis, or suggested treatment, because they had a different attitude from those who did accept, believe, and surrender. They were in a different state of being. They weren't suggestible to the doctor's advice and opinions because they didn't feel fearful, victimized, or sad. Instead, they were optimistic and enthusiastic, and those emotions drove a new set of thoughts which enabled them to see new possibilities. Because they had different ideas and beliefs about what was possible, they didn't condition their bodies to the worst-case scenario. They didn't expect the same predictable outcome as others who'd received the same diagnosis, and they didn't assign the same meaning to the diagnosis with the same condition. They assigned a different meaning to their future, so they had a different intention. They understood epigenetics and neuroplasticity. So instead of passively seeing themselves as victims of the disease, they use that knowledge to become proactive, fueled by what they'd learned in my workshops and events. As a result, these folks also got different and better results than other people who'd received the same diagnosis. Now think about the average person who receives a diagnosis and promptly announces, "I'm going to beat this." Someone may not accept the condition and the outcome the doctor outlines, but the difference is that most people haven't truly changed their beliefs about not being sick. Changing a belief requires changing a subconscious program. Since a belief is a subconscious state of being, folks who use only their conscious minds to change never come out of the resting state to reprogram their genes because they don't know how to do that. This is where their healing stops. They're unable to surrender to possibility because they're not truly able to become suggestible to anything different from what the doctor tells them. Is it possible that whenever people don't respond to treatment or when their health stays the same, they're living by the same emotional state every day, accepting, believing, and surrendering to the medical model without too much analysis, based on the social consciousness of millions of other people who've done exactly the same thing? Does a doctor's diagnosis become the modern-day equivalent of a voodoo curse when you string a succession of thoughts and feelings together so that they ultimately become habituated or automatic? They form an attitude. And since how you think and feel creates a state of being, attitudes are really just shortened states of being. They can fluctuate from moment to moment as you alter how you think and feel. Any particular attitude can last for minutes, hours, days, or even a week or two. For example, if you have a series of good thoughts that are aligned with a series of good feelings, you might say, "I have a good attitude today." And if you have a sequence of negative thoughts that's connected to a sequence of negative feelings, then you might say, "I have a bad attitude today." If you revisit the same attitude enough times, then it becomes automatic. If you repeat or maintain certain attitudes long enough and you string those attitudes together, that's how you create a belief. A belief is just an extended state of being. Essentially, beliefs are thoughts and feelings, attitudes, that you keep thinking and feeling over and over again until you hardwire them in your brain and emotionally condition them into your body. You could say that you become addicted to them, which is why it's so hard to change them and why it doesn't feel good on a gut level when they're challenged. Because experiences are neurologically etched into your brain, causing you to think, and chemically embodied as emotions, causing you to feel. Most of your beliefs are based on past memories. So when you revisit the same thoughts over and over by thinking about and analyzing what you remember from your past, these thoughts will fire and wire into an automatic unconscious program. And if you cultivate the same feelings based on past experiences, and you feel the same as you did when the event originally occurred, you'll condition your body to subconsciously be the mind of that emotion. And your body will unconsciously be living in the past. And if the redundancy of how you think and feel over time conditions your body to become the mind, and it becomes programmed subconsciously, then beliefs are subconscious and also unconscious states of being derived from the past. Beliefs are also more permanent than attitudes. They can last for months or even years. And because they last longer, they become more programmed within you. If you string a group of related beliefs together, they form your perception. So your perception of reality is a sustained state of being that's based on your long-standing beliefs, attitudes, thoughts, and feelings. And since your beliefs become subconscious and also unconscious states of being, that is, you don't even know why you believe certain things, or you aren't really conscious of your beliefs until they're tested, your perceptions, how you subjectively see things, for the most part, become your subconscious and unconscious view of your reality from the past. In fact, scientific experiments have shown that you don't see reality as it truly is. Instead, you unconsciously fill in your reality based on your memories of the past, which is what's neurochemically maintained in your brain. When perceptions become implicit or non-declarative, they become automatic or subconscious, so that you automatically edit reality subjectively. For example, you know your car is your car because you've driven it so many times. You have the same experience of your car daily because nothing much changes about it. you think and feel the same way about it most every day, your attitude about your car has created a belief about it, which has formed a particular perception about your vehicle, that it's a good car, say, because it rarely breaks down. Although you automatically accept that perception, it's actually a subjective perception because someone else may have the same make and model of cars you do, and that person's car may break down all the time, causing him or her to have a different belief and different perceptions about the same vehicle based on personal experience. In fact, if you're like most people, you probably don't pay attention to several aspects of your car unless something goes wrong. You expect it to run as it did the day before. You naturally expect your future experience of driving your car to be like your past experience yesterday and the day before. That's your perception. But when it malfunctions, you have to pay more attention to it, like listening to the sound of the motor more closely, and become conscious of your unconscious perception of your car. Once your perception of your car is altered because something has changed about the way it drives, you'll now perceive your car differently. The same is true of relationships with your spouse and your coworkers, your culture and your race, and even your body and your pain. Actually, this is the way most perceptions about reality function. Now, if you want to change an implicit or subconscious perception, you must become more conscious and less unconscious. In truth, you'd have to increase your level of attention to all of the aspects of yourself and your life that you've previously stopped paying much attention to. Better yet, you'd have to wake up, change your level of awareness, and become conscious of what you were once unconscious about.